Happy New Year! Today we have with us Professor Tan, who specializes in geriatric medicine in UM. She's been with UM for more than 20 over years. She's no longer a stranger in this industry. We had a very interesting conversation on the role of a child and a senior estate age. I hope it gives you a lot of enlightenment as much as it has given me a breath of fresh air. I think earlier on we were talking about a very interesting topic between where the responsibilities lie on. So I think from your perspective, it's really the parents themselves, or because they are adults themselves, so they know what are the repercussion on the
Yeah, society attitude needs to change. Older people are not to be provided for. They are actually well-respected members of our community, and nearly all the time, they are able to make their own decisions. And so, but society choose to sideline them through what we call an ageist attitude. Yeah. So a lot of time, children feel guilty because there seems to be a societal obligation to provide for their elderly, their own older parents, and also there's a societal obligation to be responsible for their own parents' behavior. And when it talks about care, it's care that they need to accept. So what we tend to do is we enforce care on the older person. We disable them instead of enabling. We disable. Yeah, instead of rehabilitate, we disable, and we basically force them to actually embrace disability as part of old age. If you stop them doing a lot of the things they can do, they will eventually lose the ability to use it. If you don't use it, you lose it, and then they become dependent. And at first, some of them might fight this because they might feel that I can still do things. Why are you making me do it? But some of eventually they will lose their dignity and self-respect and just give up lah. If you want me to pee into my diapers, I pee into my diapers lor. Just because you think old people should pee into the diapers, so I pee into the diapers lor. But actually they can perfectly have gone to the toilet or walked to the toilet themselves. But they come to hospital and we put them in diapers and make them pee in the diapers.
Okay. But okay, so because I also have experience where my grandparent at the time, we know that his health is deteriorating and he knows as well. So he doesn't want to, I think his perspective is, I don't want to burden my children or anybody. So they kind of isolate themselves that way. But then isn't that then our duty to then tell them that, it's always good to get an early care or early checkup?
Yeah, honestly, when it gets to that level, it's almost like trying to close the barn door when the horse has bolted. Yeah, because the older person needs to understand that the health is their responsibility and they're empowered to actually seek help early. And because they have the health literacy is not there, they don't understand that actually the best form of healthcare is proactive healthcare. So they needed to have gone for the regular eye check, the regular dental check. They need to go for the annual vaccination, and they need to embrace a healthy lifestyle, regular exercises, once a year or 2 years, make sure your blood pressure is checked, make sure you actually get screened for diabetes. They don't do that.
But could it be also because they don't want to burden the children? Because to go for health tests, it could mean hours of waiting in a hospital. And then
but why does the children have anything to do with it? Why can't they take themselves? That's the thing. We think that older people need to burden their children to go to hospital. And that's actually a well-accepted fallacy. I have lots of older people who bring themselves to hospital, 80, 90-year-olds. They bring themselves to hospital. Yeah, in fact, and because I know they bring themselves to hospital and I know that they can have struggle with the system, some of them actually have my phone number. They send me a WhatsApp message to tell me I'm coming. And then they are actually quite capable. And what we do as society is we assume they need someone to bring them. 80, my mother just turned 80. There's no way she was even going to tell me what the doctor told her. And that's her dignity, her self-respect, her ability to actually have privacy.
Okay.
You liaise with the older person as the client, not with their children. Yeah. And you respect the dignity of the older person and the autonomy of the older person. give them what they want, not what their children want. I know a lot of times it's the children who pay the bills, and that's the big problem, the biggest problem. Yeah, actually.
But what if we feel that, whatever savings that you have should be kept for anything else but health, because, as a child, I need to give back to you, because, you have brought me up, you have nurtured me, you've given me
Yes.
shelter, education. So
Yeah,
that,
I almost feel that there's no such thing as giving back. It's only paying it forward. Because our parents' responsibility was to actually bring up us as their children, and our responsibility is to bring up their grandchildren. And that's the way society should work. If that one generation is supposed to pay both ways, then it almost guarantees them to a life of poverty. Yeah.
mm,
So um, expecting to just pay for care without any planning impoverishes. So a lot of this care needs to be paid for through, if you like, enforced savings for the future. Yeah, I mean, we can't change what's already been done. And we're very fortunate in that the number of older people who currently we need to pay for care for is actually not huge, because we're still a relatively young population. I just looked up the figures yesterday, 2.3 million over the age of 60, but they're not disabled at 60. So the point when they really need care usually is beyond the age of 75. And so we are looking at 742,000 Malaysians over the age of 75. Not all of them need care. So it's something that our nation can still afford to do. But to expect children to actually pay for this care out of pocket, that would be actually potentially beyond the capability of an individual. So the resources need to be pooled in some way. So when it comes to you, don't do this to your children. Yeah, make sure you plan for your care. Don't do this to your children. It's not fair.
yeah, but I suppose it's our generation that we feel that we won't do that to our
No, that's
children.
right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but for me, I feel that there's this obligation I need to fulfill
Mm.
to my parents, at least.
I
I'm
know it's
sure about
difficult, isn't it? It's difficult. And to be honest, I'm exhausted because while I'm a university professor, I've got students to teach. I've got younger children. Yeah, I've got children who are still dependents, even though they're quite capable, and they've had to learn to be very independent. Why? Because I also have to provide for my older parents, because it's a societal obligation. They expect it. Yeah, and there's lots of things they never do for themselves because it's expected of you to do it for them. So it is a struggle, and I would never wish it on my own children. But so it's a plea to the older generation: please don't do this to your children as well. And it's not too late. It's never too late. They can learn. Yeah, they can learn. Yes.
Okay, then what
They
sort of
can learn how to clean the house all over again. And it's easier nowadays. My mom and I have, because she's bored. So we talk about cleaning products. She never used to clean the house, to be honest. We had a maid. But I had to send our foreign domestic worker home, because for a foreign domestic worker also has her own family in Philippines. And she was very depressed being separated from her family in the pandemic. So I had to send her home, and mom has to clean her own flat. Am I a bad daughter?
now? I think she's just independent.
No,
Um,
I mean, I just don't go in. I said, the risk is too high for me to go in. I'm a frontline worker. You clean your own place. Yeah, so, and they did. And then we had fun shopping for different cleaning products. Yeah, and then she says, oh, cleaning is so easy nowadays. You have all these microfiber dusters, and it's quite fun because she can see how it works. And then we buy a cleaning robot, and she's like so excited. Yeah, so, and she said, oh, robot is very good. You pay installments, and then 10 months you own the robot, and then don't have to pay anymore. Maid, you have to pay every month.
yeah, I suppose that is the change that we are trying to adapt. But
Yes,
but
that's
talking
right.
about the change, then
Yeah, so I mean, I'm fortunate because I am, I suppose, have the skill of knowing how to get the older people to do things. Yeah, but what we really need is someone like Homage to do the same thing. Yeah, so I can train older people with just writing instructions how to actually access Zoom. So for my mother's 80th birthday, I got her class of 1957 from her old school to actually all Zoom in to wish her happy birthday. I did written instructions because it's not much, right? Just click on the link only, and then they all zoomed in, and I even gave them the option of, if you fail, you will call me, and we'll just do a video call or just a phone call. But none of them called me. They helped each other, and they got there. Yeah. So yes, yeah, yes. So they can do it. It's giving them the confidence, because society has always said, "Oh, no use already." Yeah, so we must give them the confidence to do it, and they can do it. Don't feel that you have to do it for them.
Right. So it also starts with the child, because if I keep
Yes.
spoon feeding them and always thinking that they are unable to do this because they are old,
Yes,
then they will keep doing what they are
that's
doing.
right. So we don't want to call you care services, we can't want to call you enablement services. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we employ someone from home age, we expect that home age enabler to enable our older person, not a home age caregiver to provide for our older person. So you need to figure out how to actually facilitate function and to maximize function rather than to replace function.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's a very good conversation to start off, because I think people or at least with my thinking, we always think that, I must give back, because they provided for us anyway. So but yeah, that's a very interesting topic. So the responsibility should still lie on
the older person.
parents, because they still have sound mind.
Oh, because I have so many of my friends who are stressed beyond anything because their parents will not accept care. Why? Because they get this care and they make their parents accept it. Now that's not going to work. The parents are actually sound-minded citizens, and after the age of 18, nobody makes decisions for them. You cannot enforce people. You cannot force people. Some are more compliant, they just give in, as anything to make you less stressed. But there are others going, what do you think you're doing? I can still make up my mind. Why do you want to make me do these things? So I mean, I sound mean to my own cousins by saying, I'm sorry, but they've lived so long. You expect me to be the one who take your side and collude to you to actually persuade them to go into a care home? No way! If they don't want to go to a care home, they can stay at home. They understand the consequences, and if they understand, as long as they understand the consequences of living in a house that is messy, if they prefer to live in a house that is messy and dirty rather than hire a maid or live in a care home, it's their choice.
Okay.
Yeah. But then because it becomes a constant tussle, then the attention gets taken away. There's a loss of dignity, a loss of pride, a loss of self-respect. Whereas if the older person is given, if some of the energy is channeled another way, someone coming regularly for a dinner party, then they might make an effort to clean up the house. It's like, oh, people coming, I clean up my house. Yeah, but let's give them a lot more notice, because it might take them a bit longer to clean up the houses. They know how to pick up the phone, and they got jalan one. Their friends will know other people who have who can come as a temporary helper, pay 20 ringgit, can clean the house for 1 hour one. They know how to do it. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so I wasn't expecting this kind of conversation. I think I was just looking at, when do we seek treatment early? When do we make sure that, we are always there to...
Yes, it's not about seeking treatment early. It's about finding the problem even before it occurs. Yeah. So we call it proactive healthcare, preventing, vaccination, screening, and not the type of screening to laboratory, take the test one type of screening, but actually have your memory screen. We actually want them to screen regularly for deteriorating muscle strength, weight loss of weight, because it's a sign of what we call frailty. And we pick them up soon enough, we can reverse it. Yeah, we can reverse it or prevent it happening. So that's what we are aiming for when it comes to providing health for older people. And honestly, societal perceptions, our healthcare system, which is totally just a responsive healthcare system. You can see what's happened yesterday with the what do you call that, movement control order, we reacted. We could have done so much more to prevent this happening, but we reacted to what was happening. So yes, we're very lucky to have a healthcare system that is able to react. But in order for us to move to the status of a developed country, we need a healthcare system that is more proactive, not a reactive healthcare system.
But I think, unfortunately, in that space, we can only, I'm not sure collectively as Malaysians, we need to make this movement, or do we need like the tech is such a hype word, but I also feel that, we need all this tech to be in there to help us to do early detection, to do the prevention.
Technology.
Yeah.
Yes. And the problem is people have this assumption that older adults and technology don't go together. So the pandemic has forced us to do a number of things. Yeah. So one of it is we actually have this longitudinal study of aging, which we've merged two existing studies called the Malore study and the Tuwa study, and it's now called the Ageless study. So if you're interested, please go to our Facebook page. It's called Ageless Research MY. So that's our our Facebook page. So what we had to do was to totally change the way we actually connected with our older adults. Because traditionally, what you do is you go on the ground, you campaign, just like election campaign. So we talk about health instead, and then we have people there, multiple stations doing health checks. I'm sure you're very familiar with that, Homage. Well, we can't do that. So what we then did was actually taught a group of fresh medical graduates waiting for their house jobs, how to interview them using video interviews.
Nice.
And some of them prefer to fill in the form themselves. They fill in the online form. Yeah, so they can do it. They can do it. They just need the self-belief that they can do it, because it's not different from. It's just a different way of doing it, but it's not difficult. Yeah, because the technology is such that it's user friendly, and then. But the biggest barrier wasn't actually the older adults. The biggest barrier was actually convincing the existing the researchers that we need to try, and it can be done. And then the second biggest barrier was to actually get a younger generation to communicate on the telephone, because of course they are the short text technology generation. They don't actually, a lot of them are not so confident in having long telephone conversations. Yeah.
Well, I suppose because the so-called seniors, they already have got this exposure to Facebook, so they know how to use Messenger.
Yes. And they all use WhatsApp.
Video. Yeah, correct.
And then you press on the wrong button, you get a video already. I do that all the time. So I don't know what's so different. Yeah. So it's more of a perception thing. And most older adults perceive that other older adults can't do it. And so they're very proud if they can do it themselves, and they assume that other older adults can't do it. I was so amused. Yeah, but actually when we get them all, when we give them all confidence, they can all do it. Because there's also there doesn't seem to be the push for the older adult to teach each other how to do it. It's like, huh? So funny. I can do it, they can't do it. So you teach them how to do it. No, they just can't do it. It's very difficult. Some of them not so tech savvy. I was like, well, 2 days ago, I taught you how to do it. Before that, you couldn't do it. So why can't you teach them how to do it?
Yeah. I suppose it's right. Yeah, I tend to find myself to just spoon feed, like, okay, never mind, I do everything for you, kind of thing. So yeah,
it's faster, perceived faster, because if you do, but then if you have to wait for you to do it every time, then it's not faster anymore, right? Whereas so the best thing to do is to actually get people to do it, and the key thing is the incentive. Yeah, you need to give them a big enough incentive to want to do it. Yeah. Because what happens when they need something done is they call somebody comes to their house.
Yeah.
They would not get a visitor otherwise. So we're actually rewarding this behavior.
So much truth, but yet it's so difficult to embrace that they are capable on their own.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's because, it's an Asian thing where, we want to be,
it's a society obligation. And they
yeah,
do it, and older people like to do that because they don't have to do anything for themselves. They love it. They sit around, other people do everything, and then you have food served and you take. You know that it's terrible for them. It's very bad for them if they have everything done for them. Yeah, because that will be the ticket to getting dementia, isn't it?
actually, yeah, you're
If
right.
you truly love your parents, you'll never do that. Yeah. So we need enablement services because older people have an ability to fall ill
Mm,
beyond our ability. Yeah. So when they fall ill, they might lose function, hopefully temporarily. And this is when organizations like Home Age needs to come in. So what we want is people to have already had connection with these services even before they fall ill, and already have. Then they already have the file. It's very easy. Then immediately, if they're in a time of crisis, do they really need to go to hospital, or can Home Age come in and provide the support for them in their own homes, and then they can have just outpatient care or ambulatory care. That would be preferred because the minute they go to hospital, they get exposed to all sorts of evils. So because the hospital disables, you're confined to a bed, you lose muscle like that. It just melts away.
mm,
You're in a foreign environment, so they get disoriented, and then there are lots of nasty bugs in hospitals, and then they become more ill as a result. You go to a hospital walking, you come back out in a wheelchair. And that's a reality. That's why we need to do everything we can, proactive. If it's something we can't prevent, we seek help as early as possible. Preferably, it can be solved as an outpatient. But if we have to go in, we have to go in. We make it fast, we make it quick, sort the problem, come back out. Don't stay there. Because the other problem is because we haven't been proactive. Then
mm,
when they're in the hospital, the older person then has issues with coming out of hospital because the care infrastructure outside at home is not there.
mm,
So then we have patients' relatives because at that point, they've already lost the ability to do the things for themselves. So someone has to act as a surrogate. Has to. That's an obligation that you can't run away from because there's no one else. You are it. So
mm.
then you go, oh, can you keep them a bit longer because I haven't sorted it out? Then we're like, but one more day means one of those nasty bacteria might have come in already. And then you've lost the window of opportunity. This is what we don't want.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. So we want snap like that. Yeah. And Malaysia is capable of it. I used to say we have genies. Yeah. So I of course, being the geriatrician, we basically I basically get first port of call for any of my relatives who fall sick.
Mm, mm.
And none of them would have planned for care. I can guarantee you that they never think it's going to happen to them. And then what happens is I can summon up care like that. It comes ding dong at the door a few hours later. I've never seen anything like this. I worked in the UK for many years. If I wanted care, I waited weeks. Yeah. So it is we have an amazing infrastructure of this infrastructure. And one of the main things is to actually make sure this care goes round, because otherwise people hoard care. I mean, do you know that people hoard care? I'm sure Homage knows that.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, so because family members feel care is so precious, once they got the care, they hoard it. They don't share it. Yeah, what we need to do is to share it. Yeah, because then it makes it affordable for everybody. Yeah, because if you have to buy 24-hour care when the older person doesn't even need 24-hour care, it is very expensive. But if many people work together, many people subscribe to care, then the care cost can be split between many people.
Agree. Yeah, agree. Ah, okay. This is such a good conversation. I think from the start, where we talk about the responsibility lies on the senior to how technology
Yes.
can actually enable them, and they should be um, they should be able to do it because it's nothing new. And I think on the last piece is on the ageless research. I think that one it's something good that we need to read up on as well. But yeah, I think this is something that I also want to do continuously, because if I myself am feeling that, I need to fulfill this obligation, this responsibility. I'm sure there are many of
I know,
my,
and you're constantly guilty, isn't it? It's not funny. Yeah, I feel that all the time. Yeah, and it shouldn't be like that, isn't it? No, you should have the choice whether to cook for your parents or not obligated to cook for your parents. Yeah.
yeah, because I think when obligation suddenly becomes a chore, then, the love kind of diminish and you just
Yes.
feel that, I can't do it.
Yes, that's right. Care has to be shared, not just husband and wife, not just siblings, but care needs to be shared in the community. Yeah, and the need for care needs to be minimized by ensuring that our services are enabling, not disabling.
Thank you, Professor.
No problem.
Like you said, it's in community. As long as there's one person who tells us that it's not really our duty, then you kind of like let it brew for a while, and then you go, yeah, actually, come to think about it, and then once this gets out there, then there will be less of us.
You have obligations. Yeah, you do have obligations. So, like I said to you, if they lose the ability to actually make decisions, if they lose
Yes.
ability to care, then you are obliged legally to actually, actually, you don't have to provide the care, but you have to actually facilitate.
Mm.
Yeah, you have to look into the care provision. Yeah, so society don't have to enforce that you give up work to look after your own parent. That is actually short-sighted of society, isn't it? So if we have an increasing older population and people are forcing female members of society to actually stop working to look after the older adults, then we are actually disadvantaging ourselves because we already have a shrinking productive workforce as it is.
Mm. Mm, mm, mm.
Instead, what we need to do is put the older person back into the workforce, isn't it? So if they fall ill, we call in care services. We call to enable them,
Mm.
rehabilitation services, not care services, to actually enable them and then put them back in the workforce. They continue to contribute.
Mm. Mm. So maybe the last portion of it is, apart from this ageless research that you're working on, what other things that
Yes.
you are working on? What is the other messages that you want to get out there for Malaysians, or at least people, our generation? Where
Okay. Yeah, it's so one of the things we really want to do is actually to work on proactive care. So we have got a little spin-off company from UM that we basically formed to actually realize some of our research output. Because otherwise we know that it takes about 30 years for something to be researched, some research to come out before it actually gets into clinical practice. Now we don't have that kind of time as a developing country with a rapidly aging population. So we're hoping to actually look at rapid implementation by actually and engaging our existing redundant workforce. We have so much redundancy in the system. We have these housemen, these people, these medical graduates who wait 1 year for the housemanship. So we try and engage those people and to actually deliver preventive measures. So we want to pull in people in the community to come in for memory screening, to come in for false risk screening, and then we actually, if we detect anything, we put them in either individual or group training programs, and then hopefully we can actually prevent some of these things such as falls and dementia that is, of course, much more common as you get older. But it's preventable.
Nice. Okay, so then if so we can actually get this sort of or equip ourselves with this sort of knowledge. So that's act for health, right?
Act for health, yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we could just if we want to, so we'll just go on to act for health, and then all those information is available there.
Yes, that's right. And you can contact us through our Facebook page. Yeah, we still use Facebook. Yeah, we found that that's the most user-friendly platform for most people, most of our clients. Yes,
Absolutely. So then most of these forums now you're conducting, do you use webinars, or it's just like a video recording that you post it up on Facebook?
that's a very interesting question. Yeah, so like it's like not doing things for them, isn't it? So actually, we wait to be invited by old senior citizens groups, and we give them health talks, and they organize it. Yeah, I know we like things done for us.
Oh,
We don't do it ourselves. Yeah, so those are our public talks. We wait to be invited. So we solicit sometimes. You want me to come and give you a talk? Then they organize everything. Yeah, they can even record it, put it up on YouTube to share and everything. Yeah. And then the other thing would be training programs that we're doing. We are training healthcare professionals how to engage with older adults. Yeah. But we never pretend we have to do anything for them. For healthcare workers, we find we have to do everything for them because healthcare workers are very. Yeah. So we organize the training for healthcare workers. The senior citizens organize their own talks.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
We don't fund anything. We don't fund anything. They fund everything themselves. Yeah.
This is such a breath of fresh air.
It's like everybody's working in a parallel universe. They don't realize that there's a huge group of older people who are self-sufficient.
I need to change my mindset. I really need to change.
And I'm very proud of them. Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Professor, so much for taking the time to talk to me. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
And I think shedding the light,
Thanks.
yeah, it does make me feel a lot better about what needs to be done. So yeah, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, I mean, we look forward to a progressive and also enabling kind of with enablement services rather than care services. Yeah, so thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share.
Okay, thank you, Professor. Okay, you take care.
Thanks.